Welcome in, everybody. Ready to dive into something really fascinating. We're tracing the roots of the Krio language today. And honestly, the research you sent, wow. Talk about twists and turns.
It's a wild ride, isn't it? Krio is like the poster child for how much history shapes a language. Talk about resilience, adapting.
Okay, so picture this. 15th century, Portuguese sailors hit the shores of Sierra Leone. And it's not exactly a friendly visit, right? They're there for trade, but we're talking slave trade, ivory, gold.
Yeah, that first touch of Europe on the region, but it gets more complicated from there.
And that's where Crio's story starts. You can't separate it from the transatlantic slave trade. And I don't just mean people move from A to B. This was centuries of fierce, brutal uprooting, millions of lives.
It's essential to remember that the sheer scale of it, families, whole cultures disrupted, and the impact still felt today.
And in Sierra Leone, it's woven right into the language itself. Powerful reminder that this is real people's lives we're talking about. But going back to those sailors for a sec, one of them, Pedro da Sintra, he sees the mountains, says they look like lions, and boom, Sierra Leone is born. Lion Mountains.
It's true. One little observation, and look at the impact. Language, history, geography, it's all connected.
Totally. And that Portuguese influence stuck around. This Afro-Portuguese community pops up, blending cultures. It's like the first notes of this Krio melody. Then, late 1700s, here come the British.
Turning point. They established Freetown, right? Supposed to be this haven for freed slaves. All these languages, cultures thrown together.
Okay, so imagine Freetown. It's chaos, but a fascinating kind. You've got the black poor, former slaves who escaped to London, found more hardships, sent to Freetown, seeking refuge from the very system that is a lot.
It's tragic. And then 1792, the Nova Scotians arrive. More linguistic puzzle pieces, right? Freed slaves who'd fought for the British in the American Revolution promised a better life.
Wow, talk about a complicated past.
But Nova Scotia wasn't easy. Discrimination, poverty. So Freetown, another shot at a fresh start.
And then, into this mix, you bring the Maroons, 1800. Descendants of escaped slaves from Jamaica, fiercely independent, had fought the Spanish, created their own communities.
Can't forget, these aren't just names in your research. This is people, stories, languages, all colliding in this new place.
You can practically feel Freetown buzzing, right? All this energy, all these languages, like all the ingredients for something new are just simmering away.
And simmer they did. Out of this need to communicate, to trade, to tell their stories, Krio is born. Not in a classroom, but the streets, the markets. That's Krio.
Necessity, the mother of invention, even when it comes to languages. So how does this mix come together? What's in this linguistic melting pot? It's wild, right? Like taking bits and pieces from all over and ending up with this whole new thing.
Perfect way to put it. So English is the backbone, being the colonizer's language and all. But it's not straight up English. Oh no, more like English words run through a West African filter, grammar, rhythm, the whole 9 yards.
And a little Portuguese seasoning sprinkled in there too, right? From those earlier days we talked about.
Exactly. Adds another layer to the flavor, you know. But then you bring in the Yoruba influence. The research really highlights that, those recaptives.
Freed from those illegal slave ships, right? What a story they brought with them.
And their language, oh man, you can hear it in Krio today, clear as day.
Got an example. Hit me with it, I love this stuff.
Wahala, you know, trouble. Straight from the Yoruba word, same meaning.
No way. I never would have guessed.
But it's not just a word here and there, it's deeper. Yoruba really shaped Krio. The words, the way they string sentences together, even how they express things, their worldview kind of bleeds through.
So it's more than just a mix. It's like this whole new way of looking at things emerged. But this wasn't just a phase, right? It's bigger than just communication.
You got it. This became the heart of the Krio people, their identity. Imagine language born from such hardship, but it becomes a point of pride, brings them together.
Shows you languages are alive, right? They change with the times. Even after Sierra Leone becomes independent in '61, Krio doesn't just disappear.
Not a chance. English is official, sure, but Krio, that's the people's language. All over, different backgrounds, everyone's using it. Markets, the streets, everyday life, that's where you hear it.
Proof that it stuck became something strong. Sometimes we think history is just dates in a book. But then there's Krio, living, breathing history. In the words, the stories.
Nicely put. And the thing is, Krio isn't done. It's changing with us, with technology. The modern world is seeping in.
Yeah, where does it go from here? You've got Krio steeped in history, but then there's the digital age, globalization. It's a whole new ball game.
It's the big question, isn't it? Linguists are all over this. More English words creeping in, like what happens with tech. Or will Krio get its own slang online? How does Sierra Leone changing get reflected in the language itself?
It's caught between those two worlds, the old ways, but the new stuff is coming in fast.
And that's the thing about languages, they're never just frozen in time. They gotta roll with the punches, take on whatever's thrown at them, just like Krio's been doing all along, really.
Makes you realize it's more than just talking, isn't it? It's who you are, where you come from, all that history, and yet it can change the future too.
Couldn't say it better myself. Every good morning in Krio, every joke, it's got those echoes of Freetown, right?
Yeah.
That resilience, all those cultures mixing, creating something totally new.
Powerful stuff. Makes you think, how many other languages are out there with stories like this? Each one a whole world unto itself.
Exactly. And for everyone listening, I hope this got you thinking about languages in a new way. Maybe there's something hidden in your own family history, or hey, maybe it's time to learn something new. Point is, language is more than words on a page. It's what makes us human, Our stories, where we've been, and yeah, where we might be headed.
Well said. This whole journey, Krio story, it's been incredible. Proof that the best stories, sometimes they're right under our noses, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for us to listen.